What's going on, folks? It's Nike and welcome to an all-new, exclusive to the Full House ENT channel, MyGM series featuring the Cleveland Cavaliers. Starting off this series, we're sitting down with our owner and he actually has quite a few demands. He wants to see 26 minutes a game from Anthony Bennett, and that is certainly a goal that we can accomplish, but furthermore, he wants me to let go of Alonzo G and Spencer Hawes. Now this is going to be a little bit more difficult considering that I do want to get some assets in return, so we have to see what will happen as this series goes on. Last but not least, he wants us to get a good draft pick and also win 19 games at home. This is going to be a little bit more difficult, but once again, as this series goes on, we're going to figure out if we can actually get it done or not. But for now, we're going to say that we will be accomplishing all of his goals. Looking at our current roster, I do want to say that I have a big three in mind, and they are Kyrie Irving, Dion Waiters, and Anderson Varejao. All of the other guys at this point are pretty much tradable assets, but I'm not too sure yet. We still have to play a few more games to see which players I want to keep and which I want to trade. But for now, I do want to get involved with the Utah Jazz. They actually have two players that I'm very interested in. One of them being Gordon Hayward, and you might be surprised, but have a look at his attributes, specifically his shooting attributes. His jump shots are all rated in the mid-80s, and that is crazy if you're asking me. But we're also looking to get Trey Burke, a very young and talented point guard, since we're letting go of Jarrett Jack, who is a very good backup point guard as well. So at this point, the GM of the Utah Jazz actually agreed with our deal after we used the pump up draft pitch. We had to use it, otherwise this trade would have never gone through. But make sure to let me know in the comments what you guys think about this very first trade of the series. Let me know if you would have done the same thing, letting go of Jarrett Jack and a draft pick in return for Trey Burke and Gordon Hayward. Now you're going to see more of Trey Burke and Gordon Hayward as this gameplay goes on, but I don't want to get into the gameplay commentary just quite yet, because I did say in the title that this series is the road to LeBron James. I want to get LeBron James back to Cleveland, get the king back to Cleveland. That is our chance. We have the free agency period coming up very soon. But I also want to make sure that we have a team out there that can actually hold its own ground. I actually want to make the playoffs. I don't want to be tanking out here. I don't want to spend one season waiting for something which might not even happen. We don't know if LeBron James will sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers. We simply don't know. So at this point, I'm thinking I need to get some great players out here. We do have a star player with Kyrie Irving, and maybe even a future star player with Dion Waiters or even Anthony Bennett, depending on how well he does out there on the court. But so far, our role players and all of the other guys out there just aren't up to my standards. I want to get a defensive-minded team out here. I like the fact that we have great offensive weapons out there on the court, but they're worth nothing if we're not playing defense. And at this point in the game, I can already tell that I'm struggling to keep up defensively. The Brooklyn Nets are a monstrous team out here on the court. They are almost unstoppable if you don't have the right players out there who can actually play one-on-one defense or who can actually grab rebounds and all that stuff. So at this point, we do have to make some more trades, of course. But I also have to look at the coaching staff. Now, I'm personally not the biggest fan of Coach Mike Brown, and that is simply for one reason. I believe that most coaches out there in the NBA could have a winning record if they had a star player on their team, a Kobe Bryant or a LeBron James, combined with a few great role players. So at this point, I'm thinking, well, yeah, if you have LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, you're bound to be a plus 500 team. So just saying, Coach Mike Brown. So I'm definitely going to be looking into some new head coaches, and we're going to look into that in the upcoming episode. But for now, it is all about trying to figure out what my guys can do out there on the court. This is, after all, my very first time that I'm running with any of these guys. It is going to be crazy, and it's going to take a little bit time to figure out where everyone's sweet spot is out there on the court, what kind of routes they like to run, how good they are defensively, what their shot timing is. All of that stuff is going to take a little while. But in this very first game, I can already see some positives, and that is certainly that Dion Waiters and my new pickup, Mr. Gordon Hayward, look at him knocking down another 3-point shot, that they are certainly great shooters out there on the court. Kyrie Irving is a great slasher towards the basket. Nobody can stop this guy on a drive. But unfortunately, I also have some negatives. Even though we're playing great defense right there, it is not that good. The Brooklyn Nets managed to drive to the basket at will. They managed to create wide open 3-point shots at will. And last but not least, they managed to close out their defensive possessions with rebounding. They were out rebounding us big time. We just couldn't keep up with that team. They were beasting out there. Look at this. If you have Andre Blutch out rebounding you in the paint, you know that this is an area where you're lacking. So we certainly have to look into some centers or power forwards to further add to this team. But for now, I have to say, we did add a great player in Gordon Hayward, and of course a great backup point guard with Trey Burke. And you're going to see more of them in the future, but for now it is just testing the waters in tonight's game. We are down by 22 points. This is certainly not the start that I was hoping for. I was hoping that we would be playing a little bit better, but now I realize why these Cleveland Cavaliers are actually struggling, not only in this MyGM series, but also in the real NBA. They just don't have that defense. They really don't. They allow way too many points in the paint. They allow way too many 3-point shots. And for that reason, we certainly have to look into new coaches, maybe even a new assistant coach, but more of that coming up in this series. For now, I do have to say, we did pick up a diamond in the rough, Gordon Hayward. He hasn't missed a single shot in tonight's game. This guy was a machine. And to anyone out there trying to start a new MyGM series, I highly recommend picking up Gordon Hayward. He is a great knockdown shooter. But for tonight's game, we are walking away with a terrible loss, but I'm trying to see the positive in it. And I certainly did point out a few positives, but we certainly have a lot more negatives. But that is it for me. Stay classy, YouTube. Cheers, Nike.
But we really know. They used to laugh at us, now we really know.